Welcome to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. I'm Mike Calabrese, joined today by Sean Zerillo. We are going to discuss the Monday slate here in the Bigs, a 3-play card for Sean, and let's hop right into it. Let's talk best bet for the day. Liking the Nats, plus 130 at Kansas City. If you're looking for bottom of the barrel, bottom of the division baseball, boy, do we have a show for you today. Let's start here with the Nats, the second worst run differential in the Bigs, but they're a bit of a mystery here because of their starter they're sending to the hill. Cade Cavalli, the 6'4 righty, looked strong in his 2025 debut, 4 1/3 innings, scattered 3 hits, and mowed down 6 batters. He's been a strikeout artist before and after his Tommy John surgery. His velocity is still elite, topping out at 97 miles per hour on his fastball. Across from him here is Bailey Falter, who comes over from Pittsburgh. One start in, bit of buyer's remorse for the Royals, to put it lightly. He was bombed for 7 runs in that first start for KC. That's 9 home runs allowed by him in his last 6 starts. It's going to be humid. There's going to be a slight wind pushing out to right center. Thoughts on this game and how much you need from Cavalli in terms of innings pitched, total pitches, to feel comfortable about them pulling off an upset here in the plus 130 neighborhood?
Yeah, I'd like them to get through 5 or 6. Not sure what the pitch count's going to be. As you mentioned, coming off of Tommy John surgery, but he looked electric in his first start back against the A's. 115 stuff plus overall, 107 on the fastball, 123 on the curve, 125 on the sinker, and 116 on the changeup. And particularly with the fastball, even though you said it was averaging 97 miles an hour, when he wanted to get it to triple digits in 2 strike counts, he was able to. And he was able to get it above the hand. So he has that really good knuckle curve diving below the strike zone that batters swing over the top of. And he has a 100-mile-an-hour heat that he can throw at the top of the zone and get you to swing through. Cade Cavalli looks like a future ace in the making if his arm is able to hold up. This is a guy who was a first-round pick. Normally, when we say former first-round pick, it is a bad sign because it's a guy well into their career who has struggled, and we're still relying on that first-round pedigree. Maybe they changed teams. Taylor Ward, a guy who was like a late first-round bloomer. We were still using the first-round tag on Taylor Ward well into his career before he finally broke out. Well, Cade Cavalli had Rookie of the Year hype coming into the 2023 season, looked really good in spring training. I might have even had a small NL Rookie of the Year ticket on him, and then he blew out his arm late in March, ended up getting Tommy John, missed most of the 2024 season in addition to 2023, came back late last year, threw some minor league innings, and now looks primed in the middle of the 2025 season. So more than 2 years removed from his Tommy John surgery. I think Cade Cavalli back basically to full strength and finally giving the Nationals another arm that they can be excited about going forward, because Kenzie Corbin had good moments this year, really struggled of late. Their offense has some interesting pieces, obviously James Wood, CJ Abrams, Dylan Cruz, but pitching seems to be the major need for the Nationals, especially with them selecting a high school bat first overall in the draft. They're going to need to find pitching, and it looks like Cade Cavalli is going to be a significant part of their pitching staff going forward. Generated 19 whiffs in that start against the A's, 5 on the fastball, 8 on the curve, 1 on the sinker, and 5 on the changeup. You know, again, typically when you see guys, the whiff profile for guys, they're getting whiffs on 2 pitches and nothing else is really getting a whiff. He got significant whiffs on 3 different offerings and then 1 on his sinker as well. I think it's just all evidence pointing to everything coming out of the hand was elite for Cade Cavalli. The one caveat here, and the one thing that concerns me betting the Nationals on the money line, they're 30th against left-handed pitching over the last 30 days. And Falter is a southpaw, not a particularly good southpaw, but the Nats are running a 57 WRC plus against lefties over the last 30 days. So just a little concerned about the Nationals offense, struggling over the last 30 days against lefties. I think they are better against righties in general, but obviously already project Cavalli as a better pitcher than Falter. And the Royals bullpen, last 2 days, Estevez, Urseg, and Zerpa all worked out of their bullpen. So I think the Royals bullpen a little bit diminished in terms of their high leverage arms on the back end today too. So Nationals, obviously the bullpen issues, they could blow this game late for us. There was no value for me on the first 5 line. I make the first 5 line about minus 103. I think when I saw it last night, it was about minus 110. So there was no value first 5, but full game, I make this about plus 114. So anything plus 123 or better on Washington is my best bet for today's slate. And hopefully Cavalli can keep cooking, keep some zeros on the board for the Nats.
If I know our producer David Payne, one of his favorite things to do is to name each episode. This is definitely going to be significant whiffs this episode here on August 11th. Let's turn now to your favorite underdog. We mentioned that there's going to be cellar dwellers. Here's another one, Pittsburgh plus 180 at Milwaukee. The Buccos traveling to Milwaukee to take on the white hot Brewers. Man, the Brew Crew, they're just out of control right now. 12 of 13, a plus 30 run differential during this run. We know what we're going to get from Quintana in terms of his leash. He's only going to go 5 or 6 innings. He hasn't pitched in the 7th inning since his very first start of the season back in April. Do you have faith in this Pirates lineup to generate 3 or 4 runs against him, or are you putting more of it on the bullpen? Because I assume you have no faith whatsoever in Andrew Heaney on the other side of things. He's barely good enough to be the 4th starter in this rotation, which means he's barely good enough to be a starter in Major League Baseball, period. His ERA has increased every single year for the last 4 seasons. He's now approaching an ERA of 5 at 34 years old. It could be getting dark early for him in terms of his career. So walk me through why you like the Buccos in this spot. That this is absolutely kind of play where a casual is just scratching his head because you're standing in front of this freight train that is Milwaukee at this moment.
Yeah, I think logically, if you think contrarian in any aspect, it's very easy to imagine that there is no value on the Brewers. In the midst of a 9-game winning streak with everybody wanting to bet them, the books know that going in when they set the line, they're going to overinflate their odds a little bit. I bet Pittsburgh at plus 180 last night. I assume most of the money has been on Milwaukee. Pittsburgh's line has started to come down just a little bit. Plus 175, plus 170. I make them closer to plus 155. I would bet them around plus 165. Now, obviously, the Brewers have a significant pitching edge over the final half of the game, final 4 innings of the game, but it may not be as big as you might anticipate. The Pirates bullpen has been kind of underrated, even without David Bednar. Last 30 days, the Pirates bullpen 4th and 5th in expected FIP and strikeout minus walk rate. The Brewers are actually 16th and 19th respectively over the same span. I project the Brewers bullpen is better. Don't get me wrong. But over the past 30 days, the Pirates actually have the better underlying indicators in their bullpen. They're also in their better split. They hit lefties better than they do righties. This is something we've kind of harped on throughout the year. And over the last 30 days, the Pirates 14th against lefties, running a 103 WRC plus. They have an 86 mark against righties, ranking 28th. So much better split offensively. Bullpen a little bit underrated. And the last piece is the Pirates defense as well. Even with Brian Hayes going over to Cincinnati, this is still probably a top 10 defensive team. They were top 5 previously. 6th in DRS on the year, 5th in outs above average. With Brian Hayes out, probably closer to a top 10 team, but the Brewers also, 9th and 2nd respectively. Like, teams are comparable defensively. The bullpens are much more comparable than you might anticipate. And obviously the starting pitching is a concern on either side. Also, Heaney has been much worse of late than he was earlier in the season. So if he gets blown up by the Brewers win this one running away, I'm not going to be surprised, but I do think the line is overinflated against the Brewers, and it will continue to be until they lose a game, or it might even continue to be throughout the series against one of the worst teams in baseball. So betting the Pirates today, as I said, I projected it closer to plus 155. I like it down to plus 165, and then we'll see if we're on them for the remainder of this series. This game, too, did fit, as of last night, I haven't checked this morning, but based upon betting percentages, this game fit 3 different Action Lab systems that I have for underdog money lines, one of which is betting against the public, which was one of our pro systems, which has a lifetime 7.7% ROI. The criteria for that is divisional dogs getting less than 30% of tickets in games that have an average or higher than average daily bet volume. So of all the 11 games on the slate, this would need to be like 5th or 4th in terms of 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st in terms of like bets on the day in order for that system to remain triggered. That's why I said there's like little minutia criteria that can cause these systems to fall in and out of being triggered. But just thinking about this from a contrarian perspective, it is an ultimate contrarian spot in a contrarian series. And if you bet the Pirates all 3 days, I would imagine you could come out on top just with them going 1 and 2, because they'll probably be north of they'll probably be north of plus 200 in lesser pitching matchups. The Brewers throwing better arms. So yeah, getting just a little bit contrarian on today's slate. The Cavalli bet I really like. I think Cavalli is going to be a dude going forward. The Pirates one you look at and you're like, I don't want to place this bet, but the model sort of dictates that I have to. And that's not really something I can say for any of the other games on the slate, but it kind of lines up logically with the Brewers' winning streak and their line likely being overinflated to begin with.
Football season is here, folks, and we've got some huge improvements and updates coming on the award-winning Action Network app, which we're very excited to discuss in the coming weeks. But to get the most out of the app, you still need to be an Action Pro subscriber. It's only with Action Pro you get real-time alerts from me, Sean, and the rest of the Action Network team of experts. Plus, you can access pro projections powered by Sean Kerner and our predictive analytics team, plus a ton of other benefits. And right now, Action Network podcast listeners can save $20 off their annual price of Action Pro. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and use code payoff20. That's actionnetwork.com/pro and use the code payoff20 for $20 off the annual price of Action Pro. All right, let's wrap up your card here with a total between the Phillies and the Reds sitting at 9.5. You're going under. And under in a matchup involving Taijuan Walker, going to hold my breath there for a second. He returned to the rotation a month ago, but he's been serviceable. You're going to get 4 or 5 innings out of him, anywhere between 2 and 4 runs if we're just following the trend line since he's returned to the rotation. That's the best case, avoiding a blow-up. So I assume you love Abbott on the other side against this Phillies lineup. The lefty got run off the last time he faced the Phils, giving up 4 earned in 3 1/3 innings. But since then, he's more or less returned to an all-star level. So walk me through a little bit of how you're envisioning this, how you think the bullpens come into play, and why this number at 9.5 is too good to pass up.
Yeah, not only has Walker been serviceable, but the Reds offense is also just in an absolute hole right now. Last 30 days, they're 25th overall, 89 WRC plus. So I think the Reds offense being cold helps this one quite a bit. I projected this total right around 9. As you said, Walker has been serviceable this year. I mean, you look at the 3-year career history, 23, 24, 25. 25 looks a lot more like 23 than it does look like 24. 2024 season for Walker was awful. I mean, expected ERA was near 7, expected FIP near 5.3, 5.5% strikeout minus walk rate. Strikeout minus walk rate this year is double, back up near 10%. The expected FIP at 4.5, expected ERA at 4.2. So serviceable is maybe even underselling him. He's been closer to a number 4 starter than a replacement level starter this season. Even talking about that 3-year trend line, 2 years ago, Stuff Plus was around 92. Last year dropped to 86. This year back up to 92. Command 2 years ago was 100 location plus. Last year dropped below 100. This year back above 100. So it's very easy to see across the board. Like last year is the outlier. He is closer to a number 4, number 5 starter again this year, and he's facing an offense that has been particularly cold. And also, the Reds haven't hit at third base all year, but putting Brian Hayes at third base is basically giving you a pitcher level bat at the back half of your lineup. So it's like a free out. 3 of the 27 outs are free. And beyond that, Abbott, I feel like when I bet on Andrew Abbott, I'm trying to catch a falling knife because I only bet on him in starts where he blows up. I only decide not to bet him in starts where he throws a complete game shutout. But I haven't really upgraded him. I don't give him the ace boost anymore, where sometimes I did. And I still have this game right around 9 runs. So under 9.5 to minus 110. The other bets I was eyeing for today's slate, just because it's a long day until these games start. I don't know why there's no afternoon games on Monday aside from the travel piece, but the Astros were a team I was considering just going against the left-handed starter. Even though it is Garrett Crochet, they are the number 1 offense still against left-handed pitching. I just have significant concerns about Javier's control coming off of injury. They brought Spencer Arrighetti back a little bit prematurely, coming off of poor minor league performances, and he blew up against the Marlins. He couldn't throw strikes. And you look at Javier's strikeout and walks in his minor league rehab appearances. There's a lot of strikeouts, but there's a lot of walks mixed in there too. So I think ultimately Javier probably gets himself in trouble and doesn't keep it low scoring enough for the Astros to win the game. And then also I only projected the Astros team total about 3.3, and the over 2.5 team total was like minus 145, minus 150. So if it was closer to minus 130, minus 125, I absolutely would have bet that. It's too juiced at that minus 150 to bet the team total. Over 2.5, though, something that just kind of interested me blindly considering their success against lefties. Beyond that, we're probably going to be waiting on umpires in order to bet any more of these totals. It is a relatively light card for me today though, on an 11-game slate. But yeah, Astros plus 145. The Rockies, if the Rockies touch plus 200 against Miles Michaelis, I will bet the Rockies today. Very willing to do that against Michaelis. The Rockies have not announced their starting pitcher yet, though. I'd like it to be Kyler Freeland. I think it's going to be Anthony Molina, which would likely scare me off of that. So Astros, Rockies, the two other bets closest to being in range for me today. And beyond that, in terms of totals, we're just going to wait on umpires.
That'll do it for today's episode of Payoff Pitch. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to tail some of the bets you heard from Sean in today's episode, look for the Quick Slip link in the episode description. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app and leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen. Also, check out the Action Network Discord. There's a link in the episode description to sign up for that as well. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Payoff Pitch. That is going to be myself, Sean, and Colin Whitchurch. So be sure to tune in for that. For Sean Zerillo, I'm Mike Calabrese. Thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. And as always, best of luck with all your bets.